Hello and welcome to a 2-week progress update for the Indie Game Kitty Corner Cafe. Today I'm going to be showing you the character customization updates that I've made over the last 2 weeks. If you are a fan of character customization and cozy games, then I hope you enjoy this video. So I'm going to show you what we're working with at the start. This is the completely unfinished art. So first you enter your name, click confirm, and choose your pronouns here for now. So this is what you get when you start. So basically I've made a new background for this completely. I've made new buttons. I've made a new randomize button and a new done button and new color updates. So when you click here, you will start to see all of the options that you have when you're customizing your character, as well as different hair color choices that you have down here. So as you can see, this is the front of the hair. And then if you go to this part, you can see the back of the hair that you can customize. So there's a lot of options in here. I also have some buttons here. So we have arrow buttons. For now, they just are these ugly other buttons, but I am replacing all of this. So we have the hairstyles here, and here we have facial hair if you want to add any, and you can make it a unique color if you want to. We also have the face shape here, as well as skin tone. And then we have different nose shapes that you can choose from. We have different optional blush styles, freckles or no freckles, and then you can choose to match the eyebrow color if you desire. So for example, you could go with this. We have different eye shapes, different eye colors. We have glasses with different colors of the glasses too, which I was very excited to make. And then in the other, right now, I just have this as jewelry. So you can add in a nose ring or earrings, and I will be adding more options to this. I also have a really fun randomize button. As you can see, if you click this, it will randomize some of the things. So a few things don't get randomized. So like the jewelry does not get randomized, and I think that facial hair also doesn't get randomized. Let me try that out. Yeah, so the facial hair will stay the same. Right now, I might add some options. Some options don't really make sense. Like this combo probably doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. It might help you just to kind of get an idea of different characters you can make with the character customization. So yeah, I really like this hair combo. But yeah, this is what we have going so far for the customization. So I'm gonna show you all of the updates I've made to the art. So we will have gone from this to this. So this is the new and improved character customization screen, and I'm gonna take you through all the new and cool updates I've made here. So hello, I'm back in the corner. I just wanted to hide myself for a second so you could see the background in all its glory. So first up, we have the ribbons at the top of the screen, which are going to have labels for the appearance. We have some new tabs to select your hairstyle and other features. And then we also have new arrow buttons, new color picking buttons, randomized buttons, done buttons, and pronoun buttons, as well as this frame, which is probably my favorite part. So yeah, I'm going to kind of zoom in and show you all of these up close. So starting up here at the top, we have the new and improved appearance label, which used to just be a solid pink bar. I think this looks much cuter. We also have these cute little cat head tabs for each tab, and this is what it looks like unselected. So now you can see here what it will look like when these are each selected. So you can see the highlight difference in the front of the hair here versus the back for the hair selection, and also the tabs are slightly bigger than they were when they're unselected. So this is showing all of them at once. So we have different hair highlights. For the eyes, they get a little bit lighter, the nose gets a little lighter, the blush turns pink, the jewelry becomes yellow, and the freckles get lighter as well. So that is the updates to the tab up here at the top, and I kind of grouped it together by different colors of the cats too. So we have all the hair and the brown cats, we have different facial things here with the orange cats, and then we have like more accessory type things with the white cat, and then freckles I did with a grayish black cat. So then if we come over to the right, we have the new pronoun buttons, which were not even on the previous screen actually. So this will be a label that just says pronouns. You can select they, them, she, her, or he, him here. This beautiful golden frame is going to show your character instead of just being a white box. And then over here have the new arrow buttons. And one of my favorite things about these arrow buttons is that when you hover over them, so this is what they are gonna look like by default. They're just gonna be this little cat paw, and then when you hover over it, it will change into a flexing cat paw that's releasing their claws, and the paw spreads out a little bit. So I think that'll be a fun little interaction moment. And then down here we have the paws that will be where you select different colors of either hair or skin tone or glasses, jewelry, all that kind of stuff. And this is where you will click to select, and the background of the paw will be a different color based on what's selected. And then as the divider between the two areas, so this is the left side is where you have a lot of interactions going on, and then the right side is where you see your updates. I added in this ribbon that divides the two sections, and then over here we have my two favorite buttons that I made, which is the randomize button and the done button. Here the cats will be playing with the ball and hitting it back and forth. So when you click, it will move from one side to the other, and it will get the highlight that you can see here. And when you hover over it, the head will move from up to down for whichever cat has this ball. And then my other favorite button is the done button, which I decided to make more cafe themed since this game is about running a cat cafe. Over to the far right, we have the done button, and I actually exported this from my iPad wrong. So whenever it is not highlighted, it will not have any of the coffee or tea drinks that you can see are inside of the cups right now. It'll be empty. However, when you hover over it, it's going to change to look like this. So now, as you can see, it will get the steam and it will get highlighted, and I just think that this looks really cozy. It's probably one of my favorite things that I've made in the game so far, besides some of the backgrounds. Yeah, those are all of the major buttons that I've made for this screen. Let me know what you think. Do you think I should make any changes to any of these buttons? What is your favorite one that you see on here? Are any of the colors a little weird? What do you think? Basically, over the past 2 weeks, this is what I've been working on every day. We did have Thanksgiving during the last 2 weeks, so I was going slower than I normally would, but that's totally okay. It's important to have time to rest and hang out with family, so that's what I did. But even just finishing all of the buttons in the background for this screen is a good milestone for me. So next I'm going to be actually exporting all of these instead of, so right now I have this in just one flat image, but I have to actually export every part of this that is interactable as its own asset. So every single button that you see on the screen is going to have to be its own asset that I crop in my iPad and export. So that is going to take some time. So I'm going to be doing that and then importing it into the code next. So stay tuned for that in my next vlog. If you want to see the previous artwork that I've made for the other parts of my game, then feel free to check out my last vlog, which I'll put into the card up above. I think it'll be over here or over here. Yeah, next I'm going to actually talk about some of the game dev things that I've learned when I attended the MDEV conference, because I promised in my last vlog that I would get to the second half of my notes. If you want to see the first half of my notes for that, again, check out my last vlog where I talk about my experience attending that conference virtually. So yeah, let's get into the notes portion of this video. Hello from my phone. So now we have moved into the notes portion of this video. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I learned about game dev at the MDEV Game Conference, which I attended virtually on November 8th of this year. So I have my trusty campus notebook here, and I'm going to pick up where I left off last time. So last time, the last session that I really went in depth on was the mental health talk, which was a little different than I expected, but I still learned some things from it. And after that, I attended a conference that was called How to Build an Effective Game Dev Team That Can Scale. I think I talked about that a little bit in my last vlog, but basically this kind of went into the different sizes of companies or game development teams and how to tackle the challenges and things to watch out for as you move from one size to the next. Right now, that one wasn't quite as relevant to me, but hopefully in the future it will be if and when I start a game dev company. Yeah, next session I attended was called Hiring in Games. This one I only attended partially because I had a little bit of a break between sessions and I didn't have anything to watch and take notes on. So I took a little bit of notes on this one and then I switched to another session. So on this one, they were talking about the current hiring needs, which they were saying we're technical artists, UI, UX, anyone who likes art and engineering is really good. Basically the back end bones of things that artists do, they were saying is also important, like tools and shaders. So that was good to know. Not that I'm necessarily trying to get a job in games, but if I ever do decide, I'm glad that I took some notes on this. A common path they said to break into the field was to come into QA and then to find a niche after that. And to stand out in QA, they said that you need to have good communication and attention to details. They also mentioned some fields that transition well into game dev, which were animation, film, special effects, audio engineers, and then just like regular tech jobs. And then they also talked a little bit about job applications and what stands out. So a big one was like skills matching between the job description and what's on your resume, which makes sense. They recommended to kind of tailor your resume based on what the job application says that they're looking for, within reason, like as long as you actually have those skills. They also mentioned that referrals go a long way, and it's important to make everything easy to access for the people who are looking to hire because they spend such a short amount of time on each application. You have to make everything as easy to access and read as possible. And so that was all the notes I took on that session. It seemed very helpful. And the next session I attended was called Your Game Marketing Blueprint, and this was probably the most helpful session for me in regards to marketing my game, which is something I really wanted to get tips on going into the conference. So I'm glad that I was able to take some notes and learn some things here. So I took a bunch of screenshots while I was watching this session because I just found the slides to be so helpful, because they kind of had like a walkthrough step-by-step on the major beats whenever you're releasing a game. Like you're going to have your announcement, your release date and launch, a demo, gameplay, events, beta testing, early access, all those kind of things, which when you have that plan laid out, then you can fit in your marketing opportunities into that. So that was really helpful for me to just get an overview of all of the steps that I'm going to be going through with Kitty Corner Cafe. And right now we are working towards the demo. So once I have the demo finished, then I can make a Steam page, and then I can look at possibly getting a publisher / planning out in more detail the marketing steps that I'm going to take. And then she also recommended a timeline of 12 months from your Steam announcement to your launch if you are launching your game on Steam, I guess is the caveat here. And then they also listed a lot of different marketing things that you can do and how you should have a good mix of certain things and only a couple things that are actually fully required, and then you can choose from the rest. So things like social media and your Steam storefront optimization is critical and required, and then there's other things you can do like public relations, partnerships, influencers, events, email, SEO, and showcases and advertising. So yeah, that was really helpful. They talked a bit about the marketing funnel and where your game will shine, questions to ask yourself when you're marketing your game. If you want any more details on that, then let me know and I can maybe make a separate video going more in depth on this session, because I got a lot of useful things out of it and I could talk more about my plan with Kitty Corner Cafe, especially as I am making it more, because I've been formulating it more over the past month or a couple of weeks since I attended this session. She also had an example marketing calendar, which was really helpful to see it laid out month by month and how the marketing plan fits in around the game development process. The next session that I went to was kind of a Q&A, and it was a publisher's playbook for indie devs. So that was really helpful since I'm considering trying to get a publisher once I have my demo finished. They were talking about tips to stand out as an indie developer when you are pitching to a publisher. So some of the things they said were to show that you can attract an audience, make an impactful pitch deck to the publishers, say who you think your audience is, and make the subject line and email straight and to the point. So like X meets X. For Kitty Corner Cafe, for example, like anyone who enjoys cozy games and likes cats and likes reflective games too, and visual novel games are people who are likely to enjoy my game. They also talked about some of the things you can expect to get out of a publisher, so what kind of support you should be expecting, because even though the publisher does put money into you, you do pay that money back once you release your game. Especially if you have success, it's important to really get the support that you need when you're creating the game. They also talked about the support that you should expect to get out of a publisher, since that's really the most important thing when you are looking at publishers. So you should expect to get funding and social media. Someone else could help you to be the spokesperson, but overall they were saying to really focus on what you personally need. So if there's something you hate doing or something you really need help with, like for me, I would probably need help with marketing, and then maybe also tips on changes that I need to make to my game, maybe also beta testing. Those are the things that I need to keep in mind when I'm looking to get a publisher. They said it's important to negotiate and to ask your publishers questions when you are interviewing with one too. They were also saying that they don't necessarily like to follow trends, and that you can also learn more from games that failed or publishers that have multiple successes versus one-off successes, which makes a lot of sense because you can kind of look at where people made mistakes if you look at games that failed and avoid making those mistakes yourself. Something else they said is just clear communication. So when development inevitably gets to a difficult point, let your publisher know early if you don't think you're going to be able to meet a deadline, so you can be flexible and adjust those ahead of time and not last minute, and this will just create a better relationship with the publisher too. They also talked about the importance of balance of creative control, so the publisher should not be the one to fully control your game, and if they want full creative control, that's not good. They also said that the publisher can give feedback and engage in dialogue about it, and basically they're kind of helping you to have guardrails on your creativity, which is something that I think I would really enjoy. I would enjoy being in a team in that way, to be able to have guidance in more detail. Then the next session that I attended was called the Storytelling Toolkit. So it kind of talked about this very specific technique you can use in narrative games that were called beat cards, which is basically connecting story beats in the game with gameplay beats as well. So thinking about what are the story steps in the game, and then what's the type of gameplay, like what is the player actually doing in the game during this part of the story and how does that connect. I thought it was really cool. So instead of having your game switch between just a story moment and just a gameplay moment, are there moments where you can incorporate both of these things? Like for example, what if you have two characters in a story and during an important story beat moment you are climbing up a wall together or something like that, or doing an activity together. And something that I think is really important for Kitty Corner Cafe was this next session, and it was talking about better systems for text-heavy games. So one of the big takeaways that I got from this session, which is important for my game, is to have good UI to support strategic choices in the game, and how UI is important in explaining how a system works. So for my game, for example, there's going to be moments where you are figuring out the personalities of cats, and then based on that gameplay, you're going to make decisions about which cats you should adopt to which customers. So that's going to be really important, and it's important that I have clear UI to help players make these choices. Then the next two sessions were kind of more business related in terms of, the next one was the Game Dev Guide to Studio Startups, kind of giving like an overview of what you should do when you're starting a game studio. So like listing your values and how important culture is when you're starting a small company. So the next one was called 0 to 1, which was talking about how to get from nothing, so you haven't created a game, to 1, which is a game created. So it was kind of giving tips on how to get that done. And overall, this one was helpful for me. I also work full time, so I got a lot out of this. So for example, he said to start your game as a side project, and that will especially help with not running away with the scope, because you'll focus on what's important, since time will be a limited resource for you. And then there were a few other tips that were very helpful, like keeping it low cost, to have, if you're starting a business, to have a good other founder to work with you, and then also to figure out where you can make your life easier, maybe automate some things. Basically, it was just a lot of practical tips on starting out making your first game, which I really appreciated because I really needed that. And then there was also the EndNote speaker, who was kind of talking about how expanding your skills is really important, and how being interdisciplinary is key to surviving in the games games industry, which is really good and nice to know. Especially as an indie dev, you do wear a lot of hats, so I think that's a really good thing to know. But yeah, after I attended all of these sessions, I felt like very hopeful, and I felt a little more clear on what it is that I needed to do next for Kitty Corner Cafe, which is basically just finishing this demo and continuing to update y'all on the progress as we're going. So over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be working on getting the buttons into the coding, like I said earlier, and then also working on finishing the art, because my goal is to have the art finished by the end of this year, and we're getting there. We're getting really close. I only have a few more buttons left, and then I have one big background that is going to be like the background of the whole town from afar, and that will probably be the main background you see when you open up the game, and it may also be in a lot of the promotional materials, so I did save it for last for that reason, to make sure it's cohesive with everything else I've made so far. So yeah, I did decide that I will make this background myself, since I have made all the other backgrounds. If I am not happy with it, I'm going to spend a lot of time with it on it, so I think I'll be happy with it, but if not, then I may hire someone else to take a stab at it, or maybe even to edit my own artwork, so we'll see about that. But yeah, since it is the end of the year and it is the holiday season, I'm going to be taking it a little bit slower, so I will be working on the artwork, but I won't be as go as I was in my previous vlog per se, but we will still try to stay on track with Kitty Corner Cafe. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and getting to see the progress on the character customization. Let me know below what's one of your favorite things to be able to customize in games when you're making your character, whether that be a particular accessory or hairstyle. I always really enjoy adding in character customization options, and while I don't want to run away with it, I do want to add in things that people will like. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more updates, and yeah, I'll see y'all next time.